In the video game Yomawari, Night Alone, you play as a young girl trying to rescue her sister. The plot is so bare bones that I will say no more than that to keep this review spoiler free, because the small amount of plot there is in this game does manage to deliver a big impact. The story is not the driving force behind the game, however. As you can probably presume from the title of this video, it's the charming aesthetic that hooks you and makes you want to keep playing. Charming and cute are not words one would typically use to describe what is unambiguously a horror game, but just look at it. So cute, spooky and cute. Spoopy, if you will. On the actual topic of scares though, the game isn't psychologically terrorizing you or anything to that extent, but it certainly can startle you, and at times the atmosphere can be rather oppressive. Sound design in horror games is of utmost importance, and Yomawari nails it, making certain moments and set designs a nail-biting experience. If you're a seasoned veteran when it comes to scares, the game might not do too much for you in the fright department, but otherwise it should still deliver a spooky ambiance. If you're a bit squeamish or can't handle scary games at all, honestly, this might be a good welcoming point and deliver just enough to keep you on your toes, but not scare you away entirely. The area where I don't have that much praise for the game though, would have to be the gameplay mechanics. All you do in Yomawari is explore various locations while avoiding enemies. That's it. There's barely even any puzzle elements to be had. Besides running and having the ability to hide behind certain objects, you have a flashlight you can toggle on and off, and you have the ability to sneak, but I found the use of those mechanics rather lacking. The flashlight will reveal certain ghosts, but there's only one enemy restricted to one section of the game which will react violently toward light. So for the vast majority of the time, there is zero reason to turn the flashlight off. I never actually used the sneak button to sneak past anything. I just used it for the strafe function it provides a few times to face certain enemies easier, and rarely was that ever necessary. The vast majority of the ghosts and ghoulies you encounter can simply be run past as long as you serpentine or zigzag properly. If you get past one and it follows you, you can easily remain ahead of it while running, even with pretty much no stamina management on your behalf. The game is short, it could potentially be beaten in several hours, though if you want to wander around town to snag every single collectible, it would take longer. The collectibles do show up in your room, so it's a neat little minor visual touch, in addition to the minute bits of lore provided by some of the descriptions of the collectibles. Now the main criticism I have of the game isn't that it's just limited to running around, because that could still be fine. My criticism lies more with the fact that there's not enough variety in the manner you have to go about avoiding enemies. It's just run, 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 serpentine, zig and zag, and you're good. There's a decent amount of ghost designs, and they're introduced gradually through the game, so that's awesome. But the behavior of these different ghosts isn't dynamic enough or different enough from each other, and thus it does make the game feel quite repetitive when you can get past different enemies in the exact same way. The visuals are brilliant and will make you want to keep going, but the gameplay does feel more on the stale side when all is said and done. You also acquire 4 held items: rocks, coins, matches, and salt. Coins you can use at Jesus statues to quick save, which essentially creates a checkpoint in the case that you die. Matches are required at one point in the game to progress. The rocks, I threw them around a lot in the beginning of the game, and they did nothing but cause me to die. I also tried throwing them in the later game, and I still could not find out a use for them. And you can also throw salt, the bane of ghosts and demons in many mythologies, but alas, the salt was just as useful for me as the rocks, which is to say, not at all. So in summary, you walk around town and explore and run past ghosts when necessary to get to your destination. Now all that being said, if you don't properly avoid the ghosts, you will die a lot. I had an embarrassing amount of deaths in my playthrough of this game. There are also certain choke points where I repeatedly died at the same spot over, and over, and over, and over, and over. You get the point. Lots and lots of child murder was had. So yeah, while the gameplay is repetitive, you do have to navigate carefully and pay attention to your surroundings, and it generally was quite fun. Yomawari Night Alone was originally a game for the PlayStation Vita, but I played it through Steam, and the game crashed for me multiple times. It was rather frustrating, but I was able to finish the game. The crashes seemed to be rather random. That may have been caused due to streaming the game with OBS though, so I'm not holding it against the game whatsoever. I just want to give the warning that if you're playing this on PC, it's possible you might run into a few issues. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Yomawari, but since I'm a cheapskate, I'd say it's not worth the full price. Get it when it's on sale, and you won't regret it. If you love spooky, scary exploration games, you probably won't regret it at full price either. A follow-up game called Yomawari Midnight Shadows releases on Steam on October 24th. That's actually tomorrow if you're watching this review the day it came out, and if you're watching it later than that, the sequel's already out. I am very curious to see how the second game builds on both the world and gameplay of the first. Night Alone provided a unique and fun little experience, but if Midnight Shadows can use the existing lore as a backbone and create more depth, while simultaneously adding more variety to the gameplay mechanics, we could be in for a real treat. Here's hoping. If you're interested in watching my playthrough of the game and the many times I stupidly killed myself, you can check it out on Twitch or on my secondary YouTube channel which archives my streams. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're all having a spooky season.